Let me welcome everyone who's joining us for this Job Club discussion. We have 6 panelists. Everybody is not here, but those who are here will be fully participating and joining in this conversation about our job clubs. As I mentioned in the announcement to the meeting, our job clubs are a unique feature of the FENG. We have worked mightily over the course of this year to, from a programming standpoint, support our job clubs. We had 2 or 3 going. We are now prepared to have as many as everybody wants. I hope to have 1,000 people registered by the end of this coming year, because it is exactly what the FENG is all about, supporting one another in our efforts to earn a living. So I would encourage all of you to use our chat box. Joyce Gibney, who administers our job clubs, is acting as my co-host, and she'll be monitoring the chat box. Joyce, feel free to interrupt us if there's an important question. We're going to start by going around the panel and asking them to introduce themselves. We'll do alphabetical order because that's the easiest thing. Frederick, why don't you give us your 30-second pitch?
Good afternoon. I'm Frederick Brimberg. I'm an award-winning international equity portfolio manager, generating 2.5 percentage points over 18 years of alpha, compounding assets at a 64% CAGR over that time frame. I have a differentiated investment style. I pride myself on raising up and empowering everybody in an organization around me, regardless of whether they're superiors, peers, or subordinates. And my secret sauce is that in the investment business, you're either good at investment management or the client service side. I'm pretty good at both, and happy to be here.
Adele?
Good afternoon, Adele Hogan. I'm a partner at a law firm doing corporate work, primarily for financial institutions. I've closed over $200 billion worth of deals. I am chairman of the Banking Law Committee, and I've formerly been chair of both the Financial Reporting Committee and the Securities Regulation Committee at the New York City Bar. And I always welcome any kind of outreach or help I can give to anyone.
Mitch?
Hi, I'm Mitch Grable from New York City. My background has primarily been in asset management, but I've also worked in investment banking. My areas of expertise have been in project management, supporting the business, as well as client onboarding and operations. Happy to be here and happy to network and help anybody on the call.
Chris?
I'm Chris Franz. I'm a fractional CFO with 15 years of senior leadership experience. I've helped several companies in various industries with growth and profitability, providing strategic finance planning, business operation development, cross-functional team leadership of experience. I have plenty of experience in cultivating business relationships, favorable loan deals, and have spent a number of years doing Series A, B, and C fundraising with an aggregate of about 600 million in funds raised over a couple of different companies through my career. Continuing to look for new clients as a fractional CFO, and I lead the PE job group as the chair, and am on another advisory board for FENG as well for business development.
Greg?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Greg Garland. I live in Stamford, Connecticut. My background is engineering, MBA, worked in manufacturing for about 10 or 12 years, went into consulting in the Big Four, first Deloitte, then Ernst & Young. About 10 or 12 years ago, I found my way to MasterCard, and I started doing mergers and acquisitions work. We kind of raised the bar. Up till then, it was large-scale transformations exclusively. That one opened up a whole new arena for my career, and I really enjoy that kind of work. So I'm actually looking more at the M&A and divestiture in addition to large-scale transformations. So what I look for are boutique firms that specialize in that, and firms that are acquisitive in that they always have deals going and something in development. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Greg. So why don't we start? What exactly is a job club? Who wants to take that one? Just jump right in. Otherwise, I want to call on somebody.
Well, it's a group of people. We'll start with that. They have a common interest. They're all interested in managing their careers. Most of them are looking for a new job or a next job. But the idea is we share information so that each and all of us can land a desirable job. It isn't always the perfect job, but it's a job that they target and get encouragement from others to get to that desirable landing zone.
Perfect.
Anybody can add to that?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Adele, you want to add anything? Adele?
Oh, yes. Our Mitch and I run one of the New York ones, and we are also very focused on career enhancements and keeping that networking up so that you're looking for a job 2 jobs away and building that network.
Frederick, you've been involved with the Job Club for a long time. Anything to add to this this discussion?
Yeah, I think it's important. The end result is to help people get new jobs, but you can receive a lot of emotional and educational support in these groups, which are both pieces are really, really important.
Yeah. Mitch, anything from you?
Yeah, I think one of the major benefits of this job club is meeting new people that you would never have met before and getting to network with them. So I find that very positive.
Terrific. Chris, I don't want to leave you out.
I think we create a ecosystem and a culture to support folks that are looking for new jobs, but also looking to prevent themselves from being in a silo, prevent themselves from feeling like they're on an island. So it's a support mechanism, it's a leadership mechanism, and more often than not, it's senior leaders looking for new roles. So the idea that they're going to be in it for some amount of time, sometimes it's longer than others, but those are the folks that really need the support layering and the place to go to, on a weekly basis as a line in the sand for their calendar so that they have something to look forward to.
Okay, so let's list the ways that the Job Club is supposed to help. What kinds of things do you focus on in the meetings?
So I can elaborate on one point. Part of the information that we share are our own personal contacts, and we kind of extend our own reputation to introduce people A to B. I've used this in a meeting before, and I've used it in conversations that if I know 500 people in LinkedIn, let's say, and I look at them and only some are in my industry and only some are hiring managers, and none of them have a job that's budgeted for now, my 500 contacts aren't really that useful to me. But they all have 500 people or more. And that makes 250,000 people that I can probably find, and they will return my phone calls if I'm introduced correctly. And so that's a key piece of information that we can share within a team of trusted professionals. And I think that really accelerates my searches. And I think it's very, people seem grateful when I share my contacts with them.
Yeah, I think that's a very important point, Greg. Sharing your business contacts. If you never share your business contacts, those people don't know who you are anyway.
Right. And it's another reason for me to be on their radar. If I don't introduce other people, it could go a year or more before I actually have a friendly professional contact with my friendly people. And that's my fault if I don't manage my network better. This gives me a great karma reason to introduce somebody to my friends. It's perfect, actually.
Yeah. Well, the Association for Corporate Growth used to meet in person here in Connecticut, and the president of the group was very kind to call on me and ask why we were all here at the meeting. And I would say there's 3 reasons: networking, and more networking. But I would explain that there's actually 3 kinds of networking. Obviously, you have to, you should say hello to all your old friends, because if you don't, they don't know you still love them. You want to meet new people. And then to your point, the third part of networking is introducing people you know to other that you've just met, to other people that you know. It's a great gift, and all part and parcel of what we're doing here with the job clubs. I'm thinking that it's important that people in a job club have some connection to one another. Would anyone want to comment on that? Again, if you don't answer, I'm going to call on somebody.
I think having a
Jump in here.
connection, especially a lot of the job clubs that I go to are focused on financial services. So in that respect, we're connected, and there's a common denominator, and chances are that we'll have something in common with someone in their network that we could lean on.
Good. I happen to agree, Mitch. I think that's there's a very important thing to have a connection with these other people. And we've set up the job clubs on a very flexible basis where you can jump in and out of job clubs if they don't quite suit you. We want everybody in the job club to fall in love with each other. So to that degree, we've made the tool that the job club host or administrator, what's the name we're calling them, Joyce? I forget. Is it the job club administrator? All right,
Leader.
Joyce is asleep at the
Job
switch
club-
here.
job-
We'll move on.
Job club leaders.
The job club leaders, great. We didn't want to give them too many honorariums. But the job club leaders is also a very flexible thing. And we hope that the job club leaders do their job so well that they find a job. That's what these groups are all about, is to find employment. So graduating is part of it. So let's continue on the connection piece. Frederick, what do you do in your meetings to get people to connect with one another?
Well, I find when new people join our group, they're always amazed at the amount of information and emotional support and the way we do help one another, whether it's mindset, which is so important on this emotional roller coaster that is job search. And, you know, it's cohesiveness. And I think that's dependent upon the way the leader handles the people in the group and how he or she runs it. And you just need to bring people together and share information, and just, you know, everybody's, you know, feeling under the gun a bit. And if you bring people together and demonstrating both educational and emotional support, you become a team, and there is no I in team.
I think people are surprised how much other people are willing to help them. Have you experienced that? Maybe you can share that.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with that. I mean, I think, and there are two people who are part of the group that I facilitate. I think it's created by the group of people to help one another, and we all emphasize one-on-ones with one another, and we ask newbies to reach out to the people that've been there, and it's quite cohesive.
Yeah, job search can be a really lonely activity. I was fortunate back in '91 when I was out of work. A friend of mine ran an outplacement facility. I didn't get outplacement when I left my previous job, but he allowed me to go in there, and you know, you could talk. At least he had somebody to talk to. After working in an office with people running in and out of my office all day, and suddenly nothing, it was kind of lonely. So I assume there's a lot of, and I look forward to our every 2 weeks. We used to meet every 2 weeks at the Westport Library. I really look forward to that. If you got nothing else out of it, you at least knew there were other human beings in the world.
Yep. Can I backstop what Frederick said? I want to make sure he gets this, because days before his meeting, I've been a member of his Thursday morning meeting for, I guess, about a year now. And I've known Frederick for a number of years. We live probably maybe 10 or 12 miles apart, but his meeting actually starts 48 hours before the meeting, when we get a nice personal crafted email with an image that's inspirational and some word that's philosophical. It's never politics or religion or whatever. It's always helpful, and it comes from Frederick's heart, and we all get it. And so he builds this. I hate when people use the word family to mean a business context, but it's camaraderie. It's a esprit de corps. It's a group of known people, and the people that show up, they're not just impressed with how well we support each other. There is something else in that room, whether it's virtual, and we really do care for each other. We really go out of our way. I think Frederick carries the banner well for us. And if other teams had a Frederick,
nice.
Sure, yep, absolutely, he deserves it. And I've told him this many times, that it wouldn't be the same without him. We've launched people, and they've come back, and they actually are happy to rejoin after a year or two. So it's unique, I think. And thank you, Frederick.
Yeah.
So that connectedness is very important. We actually have reunions of all the people that have been through the job club in New York, and they're fabulous. And some of those people reach out to me routinely, well after they've left. And as you said, come back a year or two later when they're looking for the next position. So it's a super strong network.
So that's actually a key point that Chris and I have talked about for the last month or two. And we've never met. We may never shake each other's hands. We've become very good friends. If I see his name on my phone at 9:30 on a Saturday night, I'm taking that call because I know it's going to be an interesting conversation at minimum. But he's a creative guy, and we've determined that it's more than just a job club, and because these relationships span not just this search, but the next cycle. If you look at the Department of Labor data, it says 3 to 5 years is commonly the cycle for new role, new company. And that means we've got to have these relationships. It's a survival apparatus. And the better you manage your network, the fewer gaps you're going to have, or the shorter the gaps will be. You have no control over how many gaps, but they can be short. They can be overlap. You can go right out of one job into another if you're prepared. These kind of meetings, looked at from a career management strategy, not just land that next job strategy, gives you that longer horizon, and you can actually plan your career with more helpful people that are connected in all these other companies. There's some overlap. It's like all these Venn diagrams overlap to say, okay, now you're ready to look 10 and 12 and 15 years into the future.
That's particularly true in New York, where we have very, very high pay positions, but they tend to be shorter lived. And a lot of transformation or fixing things. So people absolutely have to be protective of their careers. And that's why we look at this as a career club, not just a job club. And we're every day, we want to have everybody get paid and paid fairly. But we also want to do a long-term look and protect people.
Again, we've set up these job clubs. They're ad hoc groups. They can form and reform. I think everybody in the job club, I hope, is always looking out for other people they might add to their immediate group. As openings come up, people land jobs. That's a very important aspect of it. How do you deal with people who are the classic Debbie Downers? What do you do when people are kind of down on themselves at a meeting?
We have like a no negativity kind of policy in New York, where we really don't, everything's forward looking, and to the extent somebody's struggling, which is obvious, we take it offline and help them reframe.
Yeah,
So,
I think Frederick, I've been on a couple of calls with you and your group. I think we've had a couple people, that were not their best that week, and we try to. I remember in the past we've tried to steer them in the right direction.
Right. Yeah. So I think of the club, I mentioned, part of it's emotional support. And so we do it online, and everybody joins in to remind people of what they've been successful at in the past, and therefore they be successful in the past, and to keep networking, and to feel free to reach out to any of the other people in the job club if they just want to talk, and then remind them of the way to go forward.
So how do you each structure your meetings? Is there some format that the people who are not members should know? Do you go around the room and introduce each other and do that, practice your 90-second announcements? What's the basic structure?
The basic structure in New York is to do a 90 second or up to 3 minute rundown on who you are and sort of what you're doing, what you did last week, and any goals you have for the next week, so that the group can help you stay accountable.
Do you set goals for people?
No, it's up to each person to set their goal, but then we support it. We do offline calls, and if they're having trouble getting to the last line, they're in almost the run, but they're not finishing, we help them get over that. There's one person, I went through 85 questions. I went through her answers and my answers and literally wrote them down in a spreadsheet. So each person has different needs, but
yes, right.
Yeah.
No, that's very true. One of the things I say is the more you help other people, the more you help yourself.
Yep.
So Matt, when I hear
everybody should write that down, by the way.
Memorize.
No, it's very important as you go through it. For those of you who have you never master this whole job search thing. I'm still learning, and I've been doing this for a quarter of a century. So, you learn from other people. And if you take the time to explain what worked for you, if you get everybody in your group to do that, everybody learns from it, and you learn from it because you have to organize your thinking.
Yep.
We also,
go ahead, Adele.
Right, go ahead.
Just one thing.
This is a free-flowing discussion. I have no set agenda, Greg. Go ahead.
Just one thing. We also share a lot of, watch for this. There's this program that's really good. This guy's really good at resume writing, things like that. We're constantly sharing resources about jobs Like if one guy gets a job, they pass on the 2 other things they've been talking to other people. And there's lots of other resources out there that we don't try to duplicate. We try to get them into those programs, really all of which are free.
So I want to follow up on, sorry.
Sorry, Frederick, you can jump in.
I just wanted to follow up on your earlier comment in terms of what you do for others. So counterintuitively, it's not about the job seeker. It's what the job seeker can do to help hiring managers solve their problems. And not only that, but just in terms of networking, that you can't just go out and say, oh, I'm looking for a job, help me. That's just not going to work. So if I introduce Greg to Mitch, for example, and Greg's the one, who's looking, Greg knows enough that he needs to research Mitch to find out a little bit about him. And so that Greg can have a dialogue with Mitch that enhances Mitch's world somehow, some way. And when you're following up, after there's been an interview or a networking call or Zoom, you can't just say, hey, I'm here, what's the next steps? You may have set up next steps, but if you're not hearing back, you can't just say, I'm here. You have to find something of interest to that person and send them either a link or an attachment or something that interests them, so they'll be interested in helping you. It's that touch and the branding that happens every call, every Zoom, every interview. It's what can you do for the person you're interacting with. I'll stop there.
Yeah, thank you. Mitch, you want to jump in here?
No, I agree with what Frederick is saying. I mean, the key is to help each other out. And Frederick has introduced me to a number of people, and I pretty much did what he did. He introduced me, and then I did some research on the people, and then I followed up with these via email. And for the most part, a lot of the people scheduled time with me, gave me 15 minutes to discuss what's going on. So it's very helpful.
The other thing is we always have co-chairs in our New York group. And I'll tell you, when people become co-chair, they ultimately get a job because they remember, oh yeah, I was a leader at my last job. I run things, I do stuff. And that really helps them get over that little bit of a hump to get the next job.
Yeah. Chris, you've been silent. If you want to pick up a different discussion, you can do that too, Chris.
No, I just it's flip-flopped, and I had ideas previously, but it's fine. I'm not gonna step over anyone else.
I can jump here, Matt.
The
Chris, I can cover a topic we've talked about if you want me to.
Yeah, go ahead, Greg.
So we look at it, and we've talked offline, like I mentioned. We have an opportunity to have a number of peers in the room that all have unique and amazing professional experiences that they can share if we give them the right forum. Doing a pitch and 2 asks around the room, that's too limiting for that information to actually get out onto the floor. So even though we've done that round robin style, which as said, mentioned it's effective but limited, especially if we all know each other over a period of weeks or months. The value of having those open conversations between peers is a tremendous potential. And once we started opening that box, we had a lot of great conversations in addition to having relationships and contacts shared during the call. We also use WhatsApp. It's a real-time way of communication via PC or your phone, where if somebody 20 minutes ago said, does anybody know anybody at Visa? I've already answered yes during this call. Sorry, Matt, but it's urgent. It's somebody looking for a job at Visa, and I know somebody there. So I've enabled that person to move the ball 1 yard down the field because we're using a different technology, and we don't have to wait for Thursday mornings at 10 o'clock for Frederick's call. I just help that person right now. So we're using new technologies to leverage the existing relationships and going beyond the forum limitation of pitch and 2 asks. We're getting information out of people's brains, and people love talking about what they've done. It adds to the enthusiasm in the room. It and allows people to say, "Oh, I really do know this person now." When I introduce, Mehdi from tomorrow's call, I actually have some contact. I can put it in an email, not just like I know Mehdi from the FENG. I can actually say he's a great guy and mean it. And there's just so much more that can come out of these 1 hours if we widen the aperture a little bit and see more. If that makes sense.
Have you been sharing success stories? and or failure stories? Is that something that happens during the meeting?
It does. We had a couple of visiting speakers from outside that covered some really great topics. The last one was a couple weeks ago talking about it was an open forum. She's an AI training expert out there, and not just somebody that's read a lot of articles or tried Chat GPT a few times. She's in the she's actually selling that service to industry. She came to talk to us for an hour, and really it was like, I'm here to answer your questions you can't find anywhere else. And it went all the way up to the 60-minute marker. We had to say, that's enough for now, folks. But here's her email, and you can get in touch with her later. And it was fantastic. Learned a lot.
Most of our meetings.
I'll ask the question again. Have you shared success stories or failure stories within your group?
Oh, I thought I said yes at the beginning of all that. We have done that. I've done that. I've had a lot of learning experiences, and not all of them were from victory. So yeah, and that actually builds the camaraderie, and that's mortar between the bricks for us to not see each other as these perfect versions of ourselves. Like, okay, it's my turn to need help, right? It's okay. And Frederick and I have had lunch together, and we talk about our worlds and demands on us and job search and all these other things that are outside the scope of job search. Because I know Frederick's a really human being. Adele, I know also for a couple of years. Mitch, we've talked many times. So yeah, we've got relationships built on that. The ups and downs of careers gets exchanged during that hour and outside that hour per week.
So I think it's. I'm going to let Frederick speak next. It's important to share those stories. There are things that happen during job search. You barely believe them, and unless you talk to someone else who's out of work or looking at the moment, no one else understands them.
Yep.
Frederick, you had something you wanted to add. Please.
Yeah, in terms of, Greg, you wanted to say something?
I did. Maybe I misunderstood. I thought, Matt, you asked me if we talk about career ups and downs. Job search ups and downs is a unique subset of career ups and downs, and that definitely talked about. So we celebrate, and offline too, and if we're close enough, cocktails or coffee, whatever the beverage of the day is. But when somebody, and I want to go back to this earlier, because when somebody's feeling really down, you know, that offer to come through, I'll offer to go one-on-one, and we'll talk about it later. Or if they're stuck, usually people have a hard time understanding that this is a different environment. You really have to get good at selling. You have to get good at listening. You have to get good at all these other things that aren't job requirements in most jobs. And so they have to not just learn new stuff, they have to unlearn old habits. And again, Frederick's team is doing that. Yeah, it's just like for example, you mentioned it. If you remember Streetcar Named Desire, the end scene, the woman says, "I've always depended on the kindness of strangers." And in the movie or the book, that meant she's completely gone. She's wigged out. She's not ever going to be sane again. In job search, that is gold. If you can trust other people that are strangers to you and open up and say, "I need your help," that is trusting in the kindness of strangers. It doesn't mean what it used to mean.
Yeah,
it's the way forward. And if I have to, sorry, go ahead.
No. As a leader, getting people in the group to ask for help is one of your great challenges.
Yep. Ego is
our group is still almost 90% male, and number one, men don't like unsolicited advice. That's number one. And number two, people, men in particular, view asking for help as a sign of weakness.
Yep.
Well, actually, it's a sign of strength to admit you need help.
It's just to use that phrase. I've used that. May I give you some unsolicited advice? And Frederick's heard me say this before. It's an open door that never closes again unless they really want to lock it shut. Anytime in the future, I can say, "Remember that conversation? I want to add to that," and then give them more advice. And because once we go one cycle on, you might want to try, lengthening your target list or going one industry over or whatever what we think are common knowledge is new to the people that are brand new to job search. And believe it or not, there are people that have never been looking for a job for 20, 25 years. They've just been in one company the whole time. And this is an alien planet for them.
Yeah, it's a whole new thing. And I think that's the challenge and the solution of our job clubs is for people to come to these events and share their stories and learn all the tools that they need to be successful in a search, not just now, to Adele's point, but going out into the future.
Right. And so you mentioned something yesterday when we talked about FENG looking for financing and making sure people pay. If you get people to see FENG as not just a job club that they join for a few months every 5 years, but they get the value out all year long, every day of the year, and they can join the social events if there are any. It becomes a thing that people pay because they want to be part of FENG, not because they need to be part of FENG.
Yeah, well, that has always been the goal. The flaw in well, I guess we lost somebody. They have to jump off. That's fine.
Adele. Yeah, go ahead.
The flaw with all the networking groups that existed in the late '90s was that people dropped out as soon as they found a job.
And their checks stopped showing up. So I'm just letting you know that's a way. If we can figure out a way to make FENG an appeal, a value contributor to them year round,
Yeah,
year after year, it's revenue for the FENG.
yeah. Well, we're set up like the mafia. You can join, but you can't quit. We start there, and that's why we don't have annual dues, because we don't want people dropping off just because they don't need us at the moment. It's an important. We have so many members who read the morning newsletter over their coffee in the morning, and it's just been part of their life for 20 years or more. That's the attitude that we want to instill in all of our members, because this job search thing is a permanent thing. I think the world's spinning at a faster rate than it used to in
Absolutely.
terms of people changing jobs.
What would happen if there was a lower user fee per year? They have to if they put on a credit card and an annual automatic renewal, you give them a discount. Would that be something that you could think about?
We think about everything.
All right, well, think about that. It's automatic. It's $50 instead of 75 or whatever.
But Greg,
You know,
people give whatever they can afford.
no,
I don't know
I'm
what I
saying
could discount from that.
when yeah, I understand when people are in job search, they're hunkered down and they got a tight budget. But
I
when
know.
they're not in job search mode, they just leave and not come back for 3 years or whatever. I'm saying get money from them every year by making an automatic renewal on a credit card while they're working. That's an easy burden to carry, and they get value because they know we have more than just Job Club to offer. I'm saying,
I appreciate your saying that. I would share with you, and I share these statistics, that when we do fundraisers, our alumni members provide the bulk of our support, because they know that they've learned the value of remaining connected and participating even when they're not actively looking for work. But in this conversation, let's go back to the job clubs and share whatever it is we can share about why it works. I don't think everybody really understands the magic sauce, and that's why we're having this conversation.
All right, so Matt, before you asked about wins and losses and stories related to that.
Yes.
So every time somebody lands, I don't force anybody because I have no ability to force it, but I highly encourage people that land to come back and tell their landing stories.
Oh, good.
And I let everybody precede me on the in the group and ask them if they have any questions. And so they ask their questions, and then I always am at the back and I ask, please tell me 3 things you did right and 3 things you did wrong. And so that's a big help to people going forward. So that's included in the success stories and painful stories.
That is an excellent question, Frederick. Thank you. So yeah, I learned some things even now. Wow. Chris, jump in here. You haven't been talking.
Hi there. Can you hear us?
Who'd we lose?
I heard a female voice, but I can't see who's talking. Who just said hi there?
We did. We're over here in sunny California. Hey, hi guys. Can you
Okay,
see
so
us?
we're at 4:35. We can keep talking. Could we talk about metrics a bit? By the way, Frederick, I like that. 3 things right, 3 things wrong. I'm right. I wrote that down. So thank you.
Well, it
Oh,
comes
I was
with a
just gonna-
royalty charge there, Matt, you know?
What's that?
It has a royalty charge attached to it.
I did not see a copyright sign. And I'm from the publishing business. I watch for that stuff. All right, so let's keep moving here. Metrics and objectives. Do we
Matt.
talk about them during the meeting? I don't know who's talking. Joyce, can you see who's talking?
Victoria Montes.
Victoria, do you have a question?
Yeah, he was talking about metrics. That's what I wanted to talk about is we're out here in Southern California, Barbara and I, hello. And we wanted to, there's a scoreboard that I use that helps with job search, and I can send that to Matt and if he wants to distribute it, but it really
sure,
helps in the job search and managing emotional ups and downs, which is what you were talking about. Because, you know, like say you're having a bad day or a bad hour or whatever, And then you see on your scoreboard that, oh, there's a networking event coming up and I'm gonna go, or I'm gonna log on, even though you don't feel like it. And so you give yourself points, you know, so every task that you do has a set of points that you can attach to it. And so you have a goal at the end of the week and you say, well, did I get my 100 points? You know, and the goal is to get those points, and each person can assign whatever value they want to that task, you know, for whoever they are in their job search, right? Resume or just networking or LinkedIn or whatever. And I can send that to you. And I find that helps me to manage kind of the emotional ups and downs. I'm offering that.
Yeah, please send it to me.
Okay, hopefully it'll be helpful, but I find those metrics to be really helpful. But we wanted to say hi. We're in California, Southern California. Barbara's in marketing. She was with Mars and consumer packaged goods and food, and I'm in finance. I was in defense and energy, so we wanted to say hello, and we're happy to be part of the group, and thank Joyce for inviting us.
Yep, thank you for joining us. So let's keep our discussion going. Anybody have anything to throw out here on metrics?
I mean, personally, what I do, I keep an Excel spreadsheet of all the job opportunities that I'm engaging in. And then if they move forward, I continue to make notes on them, the amount of interviews that I have, and what's successful, what's not successful. I make comments on the interviews, and you know, obviously, if they don't move forward, then I use the cross-out function and just continue to move on from there.
No.
The other thing is when I'm LHH trained through this, but when I was really in the heat of it, I had a weekly chart, and by Sunday I would set up how many emails, how many phone calls, how many, you know, job training meetings, etc. I was going to do. And then if by Friday at noon I hadn't done them, Friday afternoon and night, Saturday, Sunday was ugly. And then, you know, I would just check them out, you know, whether it's 10 or whatever, I'd keep a little chart. And that, you know, somehow it made me feel better that I was really doing what I needed to do to move this forward. But some people don't respond.
I think someone said, I think the quote is, anything that gets measured gets better.
Yep.
And it gets better for two reasons. One, it gives you, to your point, Adele, it gives you a little bit of personal satisfaction that you've accomplished your goal for the week. And perhaps you can then put in a stretch goal for the following week.
Yeah. And you can't manage what you don't measure. And
excellent. I like that. Right.
And if you saw emails weren't working, but LinkedIn things were, you'd flip to that.
So this is Frank Vorst. I guess the other thing I would say to you is instead of creating all these project management, you know, type scenarios, whether they're Excel or whatever, the other option is there's a free for free you can use HubSpot. There's a HubSpot functionality of CRM tool that allows you to use it for free. That, you know, you put your contacts in, you put your, you know, tasks, you put your, you know, meeting notes in there, and you know, use the calendar to pop up and when you're going to follow up and things like that. So there's some pretty good functionality that you get for free inside of HubSpot. If you know, you don't already have a tool, you can go to HubSpot and really get some pretty good functionality.
We have a lot of stuff in the chat box. Joyce, did you want to pick one?
I don't see any questions.
Okay, well, then we're going to go on. Any tools in particular you've discussed within your job clubs? I would tell you that one of the things I tell everyone I talk to who is new at their search, I tell them to find a contact database management system. The only program I know about is ACT, A-C-T, exclamation point. So many financial people try to do it in Excel, and I don't think that's the best tool for the problem. Any comments, reactions?
Most of the modern CRM tools have
Chris?
contact. Most of the modern CRM tools have contact. They also have scheduling, calendar, chatbot, AI. Most of them have integrated integrated API across any number of platforms, whether it's planning, forecasting, pure finance, can move all the way to pure admin, database, reporting. So there's no shortage now of API Connect, and there's no real reason why you should be managing contacts in Excel. Not with the amount of freeware, free plusware, premiumware that's out there.
Yeah, perhaps there's a free package you'd like to recommend, Chris. You can send it to me and I'll put it in the newsletter. I think because this is an important issue. But let's go back to the job clubs and the job club structure.
No, but I guess I would highly recommend HubSpot.
No, all right. Well, we're talking here about the job clubs themselves and how they function. Perhaps one of you would like to jump in here and discuss how the group finds and or considers people to join your little group. We're trying to keep the job club small so that on the weekly job club meeting, we don't have too many people who need to talk. So how are you identifying people to add to your group?
Well, sometimes we get referrals from people we know, and I find Joyce finds lots of people for us. And so as people land, we send newcomers, and it seems to be working.
We're probably antithetical to the notion of having a small group, because I've canvassed everyone, and I find that the efficacy is just as high whether we have 20, 30, 40 people. And quite frankly, I think that because everyone's circles are very different, no one's looking for an echo chamber. So what they're really looking for is a community, and in a community, you're not really going to have a community of 6. You're going to have a community of 10, 20, 30 people. So, and when we're running the meetings, Greg and I together, Greg oftentimes is helping in the background, but I can just as easily maneuver through everyone that I know is going to want to talk or has an idea or a perspective on whatever topic we're talking about that day, which in addition to finding a job, we introduce topics so that there is this idea of camaraderie that's going around, and it's not just everybody needs a job. That's the no-brainer part of the meeting. Everybody needs a job. Everybody's there because they need a job.
Sure.
Or if they have a job, they're already there and they know everybody else needs a job. That's why we set up the WhatsApp channel, because the idea that Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern time is the only time that people should be talking is nonsense. We're setting something up so that people understand that every day, whether it's your phone, whether it's your computer, whether it's chat, whether it's whatever, everyone is open to communicating. And that's the only real way, from my perspective, that people are really going to attach themselves to jobs.
Okay. The job search tool that we created was originally intended to be small groups, but it's a very flexible tool. And Chris, if you're finding that the larger groups work for the people you want to gather together, it's fine. I have no problem with that. And also, they were intended to be groups that kind of, people graduated from and so forth. But, if there's a group of people that just want to get together, the tool works for that as well.
Yeah, I think that
Very
Chris
flexible. We're basically inventing something here.
Yeah, I
So
think that,
let's do a lot of experimenting and see what works.
yeah, and what Chris and Greg have done with the PE group, I think is phenomenal. They're doing a great job, and the networking and the constant communication and sharing of ideas, interviewing, coaching, you name it. I mean, they're doing a great job of championing all that.
Thanks,
So, one of the roles of the job club is, of course, to help people through their interviewing process and give them a little feedback, perhaps even run some pro forma interviews with people. You can't really do that with a larger group, but Chris, you could set up a smaller group within your larger group. It's fine. We have plenty. We can create endless numbers of job clubs with different purposes. About the only problem we've really run into is naming them so that people can find them easily. That's about the only problem we've had. So for those of you who are listening in who are not members of one of our job clubs, Joyce Gibney who is in the newsletter every night. You can see in the boilerplate at the top. Reach out to her if you want to join a job club. Send her a copy of your resume and what you're trying to accomplish. And she is very knowledgeable about the job clubs that exist currently and who's in them. And she'll be happy to tentatively assign you to one of them. So let's keep going. We have 15 minutes. Joyce, anything from the chat box?
Sorry, now, anybody can just unmute themselves and ask questions.
Well,
Yeah, so if it's not in the chat box, let's open it up to questions. Frederick, you had something you wanted to add first.
yeah, before I have a practical suggestion to job seekers on the Zoom. It's not specifically about job clubs, but will help them in the next few weeks, and something we talk about in our job club, particularly at this time of year, which is that holiday notes are really helpful at this time of year. Christmas and New Year's, Hanukkah is basically done, but these next now Thanksgiving is, in my opinion, the best holiday, but that's done. But if you don't take advantage of Christmas, and you shouldn't get religious about this, okay? And New Year's, the next best holiday you'd have to wait for, I think, is Memorial Day. You don't want to be doing Easter or Valentine's Day. So I'm happy to share what I use. But if you want to create your own, you just go to Google, find an image for Christmas or New Year's that you like, copy and paste it into the body of an email, then perhaps find a poem that you think is appropriate, make a quick comment about that poem and how it resonates with you. And then at the bottom, just say, happy to reconnect if you'd like to do so. A very soft sell. So I'm going to put my email in the chat, and anybody wants to reach out to me through that email, rather than not reach out to me via LinkedIn, I'd be happy to share what I use.
Yep, Frederick's email address is actually in the meeting announcement as well. We try to make people available. That's our goal. If people have not put things in the chat but have questions for the group, these are your current job club leaders, some of the more famous ones, of course. And we're here as a resource to everyone on the call. So if you have questions, please just unmute and ask away. Otherwise, we're going to keep talking.
Well, I'll jump in if that's the case. Hi, this is
Please.
Jonathan Young. I did raise my hand. I'll just jump in. And Matt, first of all, I want to thank you for setting this panel up. I think it's been very valuable. And Joyce, thank you for all your hard work. And thank you, panelists. I do think I've been part of the job clubs for a few months, find them to be extremely helpful for all the reasons that we've been going over for the past 45 minutes or so. And it's been incredible. One idea that I've just had in terms of how can we make them better or different or evolve them, would we want to consider a functional based set of job clubs? So right now they're mostly geographic. There are some industry specific job clubs, but as far as I know, there's no functional specific ones. So for example, my background is FP&A, and outside the FENG, I've come across a few FP&A specific ones, which are pretty helpful, not just because we all speak the same language, but we tend to be grouping the companies together that are in the market for FP&A professionals. So I'm just throwing that out there as maybe an idea.
The job club structure is totally flexible. And I appreciate your saying that. And if you want to start a second job club, originally we were thinking people should only be in one. But I'm hearing that people are in several of them, and I'm okay with that. Again, this is a very flexible structure. We are in the process of inventing something here, and it will help not only our individual members who are actively engaged in search and want to join one of these, but it will also help our reputation out in the world that we're doing these kinds of things. So if you want to put a notice in the newsletter, listen. The newsletter is our daily communication tool. So, I've created this thing called Members in Need of Assistance, right? Which people don't use as frequently as they should. We have also stopped by my office if you want to discuss a topic with a group of interested people. And I think to Chris's point, if you want to form some clubs of people who have common interests, in your case, Jonathan, FP&A, the job club tool is there for you. You can have a regular, I think
Matt.
regular weekly meetings are the key to anything. A regular day and time is what makes it work. Frederick, you wanted to jump in here.
Yeah, we do have the special interest groups. Now, I don't know if there's one for FP&A, but that could be another one. We have them for asset management.
Yes, we
Both
do.
Mitch and I are on the asset management group, and Greg and Chris run the special interest group for private equity. I don't know, Joyce would know better than I all the special interest groups, but if there's none for FP&A, I'm sure you could start one for that.
It doesn't matter whether there is a special interest group for FP&A. If that's a topic, Jonathan, that you want to have a similarly oriented group of people discuss, please just let Joyce know. We'll set up another job club for you. So, if you're the boss, you get to pick the day and time. More questions?
Thank you, Matt.
No, thank you, Jonathan. Thank you for jumping in here. Who else would like to ask a question? All right, we've covered a lot of ground. We have 7 more minutes. So who would like to add? When I was in a fraternity in college, we had, at the end of our meetings, we had good and welfare. So we've got 7 minutes. Let's go around the panel and add some things that people should know about job clubs. Frederick, why don't we start with you? We'll go in alphabetical order.
I think we've covered it. I think of job clubs as keys to both educational and emotional support through this emotional roller coaster we call job search.
Thank you. Mitch?
I would just add meeting a lot of new people in your industry, whether it's financial services or something else, to me is key. I've met a lot of people that I probably would never have met before.
Good. Chris?
Community. We're building a bigger community of like-minded senior individuals. And even though folks are senior, they can still be trapped on their own islands. And so providing a buoy for them to have not only each week, but every day, to know that they've got other people they can talk to on a regular basis, I think is critical.
It is. It is. One of the things I did when we first started the FENG was I was social chairman, so I took in resumes, and at each meeting, we could actually do this. I could print out an entire list of all the people who were members for the purpose of getting together and having conversations in between meetings. Greg?
More of the same. Building a community takes a lot of work, takes a lot of leadership, but the payoff is obvious. Doing a job search without my team with me, or multiple teams, actually, I've got Chris, Frederick, and Jonathan, 3 different networks I'm in. Each one has an hour each week. They're all different, but they're similar in one way, is that we all want everybody to win, each of us to win. So that definitely brings the tide in, and that's all good. And maybe 10 seconds, Frederick mentioned doing that holiday blast. I got my last full-time job from one of those. So don't underscore that. If you've got time right now, you got this week and next, get it off the launch pad. People see those things, and it all takes 1 out of 1,000.
Yeah. No, I was in the 1980s, I was chief financial officer of an advertising agency, and I got my job in December.
There you go. It can be done.
This time, it doesn't matter what time of year it is. People still have needs.
So
Adele?
We're
Our good
very
and welfare part, Frederick,
Yeah.
we'll come back to you.
in New York, we're very results oriented. And so we will call out often offline, but a reality check. You need to do this. You need to stop saying that. This is how you get it over the line. And so some time of that
Oh, that's great.
critical thinking is important.
Yeah. I have, as you know, I have a search practice as well. And when I coach my candidates, I tell them what not to say as well as what to say.
Yep.
People are hesitant, for example, as an example, people are hesitant to ask you how old you are, right? It's an illegal question, but that's not really the question. The question is, how many more years are you planning to work? And nothing really happens in the conversation until they've seen your background. interviewing you, but they want to know how long you're planning to work. And they ask the question the wrong way. So I tell people you're planning to work 5 to 10 more years. Just tell them, even though you're in your 70s and it may not be credible, you have to tell them, or they're going to be trying to think of a way to ask the question. Frederick, we had, I'm sorry, Adele, did you finish?
Yes.
Good. Frederick, you had something to add?
Yeah, just two things. One is that those holiday notes you can start sending them like a week before the event. So it's, basically the 17th of December, and probably, wait December 26th for the New Year's. And also I'd like to respond to something that Doug Benton put in the chat. Getting past the bots is a game we must play. And I think that's absolutely correct. And the only way that I know of to do it is through networking and finding somebody inside. And once you've targeted a company, don't just apply for something. Find somebody that you know, or relate, or find some way of getting into somebody that can tell you whether you should apply first and then get them to say something good about you to HR, or whether you should indicate to your friend internally that you're interested, and then they'll put in a good word for you with HR, and then HR sends you a golden link, which gets you past, the bots. I mean, I did that with Fidelity, and I got right to the hiring manager. I didn't get the job for specific reasons that really had nothing to do with me, which is typically how people get turned down. But the point is, it's networking and getting somebody inside to help you in terms of how to apply for the job, whether before or after you've talked to your internal friend. But I wouldn't be applying, to any job without knowing somebody at least peripherally inside that's willing to help.
Thank you. Thank you. We have we have time for one more question. Silence is not an option. Someone has to ask. Anyone who has more to add? Greg, did you want to?
I do actually, not this iteration, but several years ago I was in job search, and I got some good advice from somebody on one of my teams about negotiating for salary. And I didn't know that one thing, and I went into that final round and bumped my salary up by enough to cover what it cost to put my 2 kids through college. It was amazing. It was a big number, right? I just didn't know what I needed to know, and I got that information through the job search. So that burden of writing big checks for my 2 daughters who were in college at the same time was dissolved because I got good information in these meetings and applied it right away.
Sharing our knowledge and experience is what this is all about.
Yep, it's both what you know and who you know, and this is where you get the who you know check box.
There's so many tools with job search, and there are no courses available to learn how to job search. They don't teach it in school.
Correct.
And generally, as financial people, we don't need it till middle age. We're normally working until then. So these job clubs are just extremely valuable. I hope all of you who have been on this call have learned something, and we've recorded this call. So please, I'll post the link in the newsletter so people can listen in. I want to thank everybody who is on the panel tonight for their time and energy in leading our job clubs. And Joyce, I had an idea. I think we're going to set up a job club for the leaders of the job clubs, and I'll participate in it. Okay? Because I think the job club leaders have a reason to get together once a week and talk about what's going on.
Right.
We have this incredible tool. Let's find some other ways to use it. All right. If anybody have any last comments? It's important to get the last word in.
Yeah, just last comment. So I'm new to this whole concept. It sounds fantastic. I look forward to connecting with the leaders and then getting involved in one of the clubs. Thank you.
Terrific. I think you'll enjoy the experience. It is a bonding experience. To earn a living, it is kind of a war. So hopefully these job clubs will provide you with some support and answers and move you along to that next great opportunity.
Can I
so it's now almost Greg?
Yeah, Ron. So thanks for
I knew I could get someone to have the last word. Go ahead.
No, I want you to have last word, Matt, but Ron, the onus is on you.
It's 5 o'clock.
You met some people, get our email addresses and set up some one-on-ones with as many of us that you want. That's why
Absolutely.
we're here.
Absolutely.
Terrific. Very kind offer, Greg. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg.
All right. So again, this has been a great conversation about our job clubs. I'm in a couple months, we'll schedule another one to pick up the conversation. And just want to thank all of you for joining us today. Again, especially my panel. You've been very helpful. And we'll, as they say, see you around campus. So, oh, and don't forget to donate. This is how we keep things going. There's a donate button in the middle of the screen where you sign in. You can't miss it. Okay. So enjoy, and everybody stay safe, stay healthy, enjoy the holidays.